Panda. I got broads in Atlanta, just to the lean the family. Credit cards and the scammers, hitting the licks in the band. Legacies.
Hi guys, today we are going to show you the outstanding Sony RX100 IV Pocket 4K. Although Sony has already made the fourth iteration of its RX100 camera, sadly, I have not had a chance to test and review any of the earlier models. After the Sony RX100 IV was announced, I told myself that I had to give this camera a try. Partly because our readers have been asking about it and partly because it looked like a killer camera based on its long list of features. Right before my trip to Death Valley, I was able to obtain this little monster of a camera for a real field test. I am really glad I did, because I have been really impressed by the Sony RX100 IV. It turned out to be the best pocket-friendly point-and-shoot camera I have used to date. Let's take a look at this camera in more detail and see what it has to offer in its tiny body. As you can see from this review, the Sony RX100 IV is a little powerhouse that is not only capable of delivering outstanding image quality for its sensor size, but also superb 4K and slow-motion video. Having been shooting with the RX100 IV for about 2 months now, I can say that I am surprised by how good this point-and-shoot camera really is. Thanks to its rich feature set, solid construction and compact size, it is a pocketable gem you can take literally everywhere, making it an excellent travel companion. But the camera definitely has its faults. Without an accessory grip, it can easily slip and fall out of your hand, thanks to its flat anodized aluminum finish. Sony wants its customers to pay such a high premium on the RX100 IV, and it's still nickel and dimes with extra accessories that should have been included with the camera. What would it really cost Sony to include a plastic grip and a separate battery charger? This is quite frustrating and disappointing for us consumers, and Sony needs to understand that such practices are not beneficial to the company in the long run. Sony also needs to move towards providing better ergonomics and user experience, particularly when it comes to its menu system. The confusing, cryptic and hideous menus really need to go, especially from a point-and-shoot camera. If Sony wants to sell the RX100 IV to more people, it needs to make it a simpler camera to use for photographers of all levels. I am not necessarily suggesting to remove all the advanced options, as those can be great to have for those of us who understand how to use or customize them. But there are ways to group and separate simple functions from the advanced ones. If Sony engineers could come up with a way to do that, it would make their cameras much easier and more intuitive to use. Lastly, at $950 MSRP, the RX100 IV is not a cheap camera by any means. For that kind of price, one could buy an interchangeable lens mirrorless or DSLR camera with a larger APS-C sensor and a lens or two. Heck, for $1K, one could even get a used-for-frame camera, which definitely makes it a tough buy for many of us. After all, it is still a point-and-shoot camera. For this reason, I would personally wait until Sony releases its next generation RX100 V. Once that happens, it should lower the price of the RX100 IV by a few $100s, and if you catch good sales during holidays, you might get even a better deal. Overall, despite its list of shortcomings, the RX100 IV is a camera I would not hesitate to recommend to our readers, especially if budget is not an issue. Aside from my iPhone, it is probably the only camera on the market that I would be willing to carry in my pocket when traveling.